I have not seen that picture before. Looks like a bunch of it looks like cones to dampen sound. I have no
Yeah,
idea.
exterior of a building at Las Vegas.
In Vegas,
Yeah, yeah.
not
And
a
you're
gear,
wearing
not the Geary
horns.
building. I'm sorry.
No, no, no.
Okay.
You're wearing horns today. I like these
That-
Aurora horns.
That's my hat.
Horns of
It's a
the
hat.
Aurora.
The whole I should have called it the horns of the Aurora and had me in every one of those two-page spreads in
Did you
Lenswork.
know that you were in lens work?
I
I
had
bet you
no
didn't
idea.
know that.
Nobody, that's the part about Brooks I don't like. We talk about him a lot and all that we do like. He never lets you know when you get published.
Oh, I didn't know that. He doesn't?
Oh, he does. Of course he
Oh, he
does.
does. Okay. I thought you were being serious.
Speaking of, hey, congratulations. Cole heretofore has been in Lenswork 8 times. However,
No
the
more.
the no more, yeah, they're going to retract every issue. No, we learned that Brooks was kind enough to announce during the Out of Chicago Live, which is not live. Well, it actually isn't live. It's online. That his Power Lines project, I do that for our Canadian friends, project, is going to be published in the next issue of the Lenswork. So congratulations. We I want you to know though, folks, we did ask if there'll be double page or gatefold, triple, and no, there's not. So I still own that title.
He said they were going to be contact prints and they're going to fit all in one page.
He did say that, and they were going to include one of those plastic magnifiers so that you could look at those little contact prints up close.
Yeah, yeah. Man, that's how we used to do it in the old days. You'd
Oh my
you'd do
gosh,
an 8 by 10 sheet and you're sitting there with a loop looking at it, seeing if you got anything to work with.
great memories. It was like Christmas well, I shot a lot of slide film and like putting those slides on that light table. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. But you know what? Thinking about Brooks and congratulating you on another project being published in Lenswork, I think we ought to spend some time talking about working in projects and the
Yeah.
value of that. So go ahead.
That was a big theme of Brooks, I think, during Out of Chicago. I mean, we're like little boy fans of Brooks Jensen. It's like every episode we mention him about 10 times. Let's talk about the things we don't like about Brooks, just to balance things out.
I don't know. I'm struggling to find one. I think pretty good guy, and I want to get published one more time, so I'm not going to go down that road.
You don't want to tick him off. Yeah, working in projects, it's something I resisted doing until he kicked me in the rear and told me to pick one image and come up with a small portfolio that I would submit to Lenswork. That was the grain silos.
Yeah.
And after that point, I've just been hooked on them. I've done dozens of different projects. He's done hundreds, it sounds like.
I couldn't believe how many are in his Kokoro thing.
Yeah,
Crazy
yeah,
amount.
crazy. And they don't have to be big projects. He's talking about he did threes, he's done sixes, eights, tens. So what I learned from doing a project is it focused me. It made me
Uh,
think deeper. It's too easy to take one great shot and then move on and take another great shot, never really having to discipline yourself to work in a portfolio. So I became a little more disciplined, a little more thoughtful. I felt I became more creative because, like when you're shooting power lines, for example, they can all look the same. So you really have to think, how am I going to look at these differently? So it's a fun experience, and I become hooked. And I tell people it can be daunting trying to come up with 25 to 40.
yeah,
So
because
start
that's what he
with
wants
six.
for. Yeah.
Seeing in sixes, come up with 6 images that are related. And I also would suggest don't look backwards through your old images and say, where can I find 6 images that are similar that I can call a portfolio? It just, in my opinion, doesn't work as well. That's just cobbling together something after the after the fact. Instead, look forward and find an image that when you're out shooting that really interests you. Like I think of that lady who wrote me and she had the garlic scapes, the little teeny
Yes.
garlic scapes. And then take that idea and try to create 6 related images and see how it goes for you.
I'm going to disagree with you a little bit, and counterpoint. I do think again, this goes to people work differently. We talked about a couple of weeks ago. I do think there is value for somebody wanting to start a project to going ahead and saying, hey, you know, I've been in Death Valley, I've been shooting the dunes. I'm going to go back and see if I can't put together a nice little folio of dunes. I've done that actually, and I thought it was quite successful. So, so I do think people work differently. I like the idea though of driving around and you're photographing and you see a dust storm in Death Valley, and you do. I had a background here in a show a few days ago, and then you say, hey, I bet there's more dust storm images. So I'm going to put that in my, you know, in the back of my mind. Anytime I'm in a dust storm, I'm going to add to that dust storm project. Or I see um, whatever, you know, you see curvy lines on a road because the truck doing the lines, you know, and you say, I'll never see that again. But now you start to think about, I'm going to
Yeah.
find, you know, Chuck Kimmerly specifically has a great image of, you can see where the truck must have had to move and the yellow line was straight, 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 went like that. It was an awesome photograph. But I guarantee you there's more of those that Chuck could put into that thing. And so the suggestion that we gave during out of Chicago was, you know, maybe make some collections if you're a Lightroom user, and you know, just and you drop images into that collection as you make those images. And you know, I want you to just talk about, you made a, you know, you had a notepad and you started writing down these ideas. How'd that go for you?
Well, before I do, I want to talk about what you said. What you do in looking backwards, and I don't want semantics to get in the way, and it's so easy when we're talking about things like this, but those to me are collections. And I've got a little folder of trees, and I've got a little folder of sand dunes, and I've got a little, to me, that's different, collecting similar images than creating a portfolio which has a
Okay.
theme that is causing you to think moving forward. It doesn't take a lot of work to go through your 10,000 old images and find 10 6 tree images that you can call now a seeing in 6 trees. To me, it's much different because one is collecting, the other is thinking and moving forward. So,
Got it. That's a really good distinction. We've never had that discussion before, and that really, that helps me a lot to think very differently. So let's
so
forget.
on my website, I have portfolios and I have collections.
Oh, interesting.
So you go to my collections, you're going to see an animal folder with animals. That's not a portfolio. It's just a bunch of images that all have animals in it.
Gotcha. I like
Now,
that distinction a lot. So let's do this then, because you and I have talked about this. And with that, if you're doing a C and sixes, do all six need to be tens,
uh,
bangers?
yeah, we've heard a lot of phrases, bangers, glory shots.
Yeah,
Uh, we would all like them to be. I
sure.
mean, out of my power lines, I have two that are tens that I love. And I would like to have submitted all images like that. So the first question is, who decides if they're a 10 or not?
Yeah,
They might have been my two favorite, but you might likely have had two others out of my portfolio that you might have said are your favorites.
yeah.
And Brooks is likely to publish some of those images that aren't my favorites. And I'll think, oh, why did Brooks? I've learned with Brooks now, I don't submit the ones I don't want published. So I'll submit smaller portfolios because he sees differently than me. And he'll
Yeah.
print ones that I didn't like that much.
That's interesting.
So who judges if they're a 10? And secondly, they can't all be 10s. Imagine going to a play where there are 10 leads
Yeah,
and no supporting actors.
yeah,
Supporting actors are needed to tell the full story.
yep.
And sometimes that means they're not all 10s, but they're as a standalone image, they're not a banger, they're not a hero shot, they're not a 10. But together with a group, they're an important element.
Yeah, they tell a broader, maybe deeper story in that six or 10 or whatever you're doing, right? And I think that's another great distinction for a collection versus a portfolio versus a project, that you actually have something in mind. And
Mhm.
I look at again at Brooks's PDFs. Man, there's clearly not tens in every single one of those images. But boy, by the time you're done looking at those 20 images in that PDF, you've got a really, really good sense of China and what he was drawn to in, or Japan, right? You feel like you've been there. And that you don't need 10.
Is he? I think it was Brooks who mentioned he had that shot. It was of the old man. No, who was that? who had the shot of the old guy leaning against the truck. It was Brooks.
Oh,
And
okay.
he that it turned out to be some scrap salesman, and then he told a little bit of the story, and then combined with the other images it became much more meaningful.
Yep.
But standalone, it's not the one that you're going to print as a giant print like Peter Lick, put it under hot lights, put it in a gallery, and you're going to have people buying it.
Yeah.
But as a part of the story, it's an important part.
Yeah, and again, I think we got to clarify once again that you and I want to be expressive photographers, right? That so we don't want to be Peter Lick and bangers and put them up on the wall. That's just not how we want to be. And there's no right or wrong. You do you, I'll do me type of thing. But if in fact, and I think most of our incredibly huge, enormous, growing audience
Growing by leaps and
leaps
bounds.
and bounds. We grow by at least one a week, which is like breathtaking. I wait anxiously every week. Oh, there it is. We got
For
two
the
followers.
numbers.
Out of Chicago, I think we gained 5 or 6 from that experience.
Oh,
We're
oh,
getting close to 800, but good
yeah.
discussion about projects because
Well, let's talk about one more thing. There's another fallacy sometimes about projects that they've got to be maybe done in exotic places. The easiest project to do is a Death Valley or a Faroe Islands or Yosemite. It's location based. A harder project to do is over a concept. And you can do an incredible project near your home. You don't have to go somewhere wonderful because as Brooks says, the what's great about it isn't where you were at, it's what you were thinking and feeling and what you're showing. So, think about something. You could do one that's literally in your home. Like I'm doing one now in hotel rooms.
yeah.
Every time John puts me up in the sleaziest, cheapest flea bag hotel you can find,
Yeah,
I'm
well,
trying
I'm in the nice Marriott.
yeah, yeah, the honeymoon suite.
Yeah,
Um, I've challenged myself to try to find a photo, a fine art photo, in every one of those rooms.
good
So
for
it
you.
doesn't have to be exotic locations.
Now, we kind of bash on photo clubs sometimes, but there's a local club and they got great stuff once in a while. One of them was make a portfolio of images in your bathroom.
Hmm.
And man, I got to see some of that work. It was insanely good.
Oh,
It
cool.
forced people to see shadows coming in through the window and make the faucet long, or short, or it was so great what people did with that. And
That's
that's what
pretty
you're talking
confined space.
pretty confined. Well, it depends. I mean, the bathrooms that I've been in, like at the hideout where we stay, you could have fit like my whole office in that bathroom and then a bathroom in addition. It was a huge bathroom.
How about that bathroom at the hotel in the Faroe Islands? I don't think my house isn't as nice as that bathroom. That looks
Unbelievable.
pretty fancy.
Pretty fancy. All right, projects. Good discussion, bud. We'll see you next week.
Next week.